Hello and welcome to EDN 113, Living and Learning with Technology. This is our third online workshop, and we are looking at digital citizenship through digital storytelling. Here is your online readings for this week. Make sure that you do look at them and read through them to grasp a better understanding of the power of digital stories to the support of teaching and learning, and how digital storytelling is a powerful tool for the 21st century classroom. Our learning objective for this topic is: what is digital storytelling? Why use digital storytelling in teaching and learning? Why use comics and animation in teaching and learning? And what are the benefits of having students produce comics and animation? Technology we're looking at, so we're going to look at certain applications and we're going to decide which comic or animation applications are most suited for the age group that we're working with. And then lastly, we're looking at the pedagogy of gallery walk for this week's weekly activity. Part 1. Let's stand still at what is digital storytelling. But before we start, let's look at storytelling. Storytelling is often considered appropriately for the language arts projects in younger years. However, storytelling is an effective tool for helping us to make sense of things around us. Since the earlier times, people have used storytelling to explain the inexplicable. Think about the Dreamtime stories that the Aboriginal elders told the young to explain the world around them. Today we can use these storytellings to make sense of the data barrage we experience in our information-driven world. Roger Shanks' research says that storytelling provides memory structure and depth of context. Here's a nice quote from Scott McCloud that I think was appropriate. So what is digital storytelling? Digital storytelling is a technology application that is well positioned to take advantage of user-contributed content and to help teachers overcome some of the obstacles to productively use technology in their classrooms. At its core, digital storytelling allows computer users to become creative storytellers through the traditional process of selecting a topic, conducting some research, writing a script, and develop an interesting story. The material is then combined with various types of multimedia, including computer-based graphics, recording audio, computer-generated text, video clips, and music, so that it can be played on a computer, uploaded to the website, or burned onto a DVD. Within the context of development of Web 2.0 tools that facilitate user participation, interactivity, and content development, as well as support customization and personalization of learning. There are different types of digital storytelling: personal narratives, stories that inform our instruction, and stories that examine historical events. Okay, so firstly, personal narratives can be to describe personal experiences, or highlight significant events, emotional changes that is personally meaningful. It could also be to honor the memory of special person or places. It could also be to deal with life adventures, accomplishments, challenges, or recoveries. Stories that inform or instruct could be a presentation of information, include historical information as a backdrop for a personal narrative, or how to approach or describe measures and solutions of issues. And lastly, we have stories that examine historical events, which could be a recount of historical events. Why use digital storytelling? Now, there's a list of 21st century skills by Robin, emphasize 5 different areas. Digital literacy, which is the ability to communicate with an ever expanding community, to discuss issues, gather information, and seek help. Your global literacy, the capacity to read, interpret, respond, and contextualize messages from a global perspective. Then you've got your technology literacy, the ability to use computers and other technology to improve learning, productivity, and performance. Then you've got your visual literacy, the ability to understand, produce, and communicate through visual images. Your information literacy, the ability to find, evaluate, and synthesize information. And these all help to develop enhanced communication skills as they learn to conduct research on a topic, ask questions, organize their ideas, express opinions, and construct meaningful narratives, learning to critique their own and others' work, facilitate social learning and emotional intelligence. We can also look at the alternative 21st century skills from Holland, Johansson and Mara. I made it into a nice little graphic mind map for you, where you can see all the different components that they felt was important. So our first activity is a little bit of a self-reflection. I want you to think, what cartoons or comics did you watch or read when you were in your younger years? How did you feel when you watched or read them? What do you recall about them? Did you learn anything through them? And if so, what did you learn? Take a minute or two and reflect on this. And once you're done, come back to the video. Activity 2. I've posted a few pictures of comics here, and if you were in the classroom, I would have been able to give you actually access to these comics, or some of them. But what I want you to do is think back, which of these do you actually recognize? And if so, how did you feel when you read them? How does it feel to see them again? And now the last question is, there are increasingly more educational comics available and being published recently. What do you think is the value of using comics in teaching and learning? So why do we use comics and animation in teaching and learning? To harness students' interest in the genre. It affords visual support to aid comprehension. It provides a rich and meaningful context. It introduces more rare words than other educational media. And it conveys complex conceptions and relations in digestible chunks. Now, activity 3. This will be the first activity that you will do an actual respond on the Jamboard. I would like for you to have a look at the next 2 slides. The one is a digital comic, and the other one is a little animation. I want you to think about, how do students benefit from producing their own comics and their own animation? Brainstorm your ideas on paper, write a conclusion at the bottom of the page, and then upload it to Jamboard. Topic 3, Activity 3, Digital Storytelling. This is the first example. And this is our second example. And this is animation. I've got the link at the bottom, but I will play it for you. Okay, now that you've watched the video and you've seen the cartoon, you need to answer the questions on activity 3 and post your conclusion to the Jamboard. So what benefits do students producing is there for students to produce animations or comics? The opportunity to explore and express their understanding of the topic or the concept that they're doing, and engage in higher order thinking and learning to become more critical consumers and creators of text as they piece together multimodal elements of text to effectively communicate the message. There's 3 different types of digital storytelling. You get comics, photo stories, and cartoons. Looking at comic strips, what benefits do they have in education? Now, I've listed a few for you there, and I'm not going to read all of them to you. But as you can see, there's quite a few advantages of using comic strips for students within the classroom. One of the platforms that you can use for comic strips is Storyboard. That's the one that's the easiest to use, but there are quite a few others. And if you go to the task 2 on the LMS, you will find there is some other digital comic strip creators that you can also use. Photo stories, the best to use is iMovie for the Mac, or Photo Story 3 is available for Windows, and you can download Photo Story 3 to your computer if you've got a Windows computer and use it like that. The use of iMovie and Photo Story is to use photos that you took or image and then create a sort of sequence that will then tell the story. The next one is cartoons or animation software. One of the best ones or easiest ones to use is Powtoon. And why do we use that? It's because it grabs attention, generates participation, and helps students to synthesize information and develop higher order thinking skills. So activity 4, this is a self-reflection again, where I want you to have a look and think about how does ICT facilitate meaningful learning in the context of using digital storytelling as a visual thinking tool. You can do this on your own. For yourself, it's just a way to reflect on the information that's been given to you so far. Now, if we look at the pedagogy that we're going to use for this assessment activity this week, we will look at gallery walks. So the traditional gallery walk is where you work in groups towards a common goal, do your research, produce your end product, and then you have the students rotating from group to group, leaving their comments on sticky notes on the work or on the wall next to the actual workpiece. And once you get back to your original piece, that you have the comments there that you can either work on to better it or to keep note of for future reference. If you do the same activity as an online activity, the students will post their work to an online platform. For instance, the LMS, Jamboard, Stormboard, Lenoy, any one of those platforms will work. And then you have the students producing, once everybody's work is up there, you have students going and looking at the other students' work and then producing the same kind of sticky note or comments to the students. In the end, you have the same result where you can actually look at your own work afterwards and see what either comments people made about what worked really well or how you can improve it for the next time round. So this is what we're going to do this week. So for part 3, this week for our weekly assignment, there's 2 parts to it. The first part is an individual task where you're going to create your own digital story. And the second part is where you're going to do a gallery walk, looking at other people's digital stories and leaving comments. When you're doing your comments, you need to think. Think is an acronym for: is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Keep these things in mind when you leave your comments on other people's work. So, for topic 3, part A is you need to develop your own comic or animation. You can either create a 3 to 6 panel comic on any aspect of good digital citizenship and upload it to your class discussion forum topic 3. Or alternatively, you can create a 30 seconds to 1 minute animation or photo story on any aspect of good digital citizenship and upload it to YouTube, and then post the link of your YouTube video to the class forum under topic 3. That will amount to 1.5 of your marks for this week's activity. Part B of is the online gallery walk. This part you will have to view other people's comic strip and post 3 comments on 3 different comics or cartoons. You make 1 positive comment about the message, 1 characterization, 1 or the storyline or the design, or list ways of how they can improve the comic. Use your think process before you post your responses. And then review the comments of your own comic. That entitles you to 1.5 marks as well. So you'll get 0.5 marks for each comment you post. So if you only post 2 comments, you will only get 1 mark. If you only post 1, you only get 0.5. But if you post all 3 comments, you will get your full 1.5 marks for this section. You will need to reply to the post of the person that you're going to post your comments to. In order for this to work well, I will ask you to please, when you initially post your comic strip or your cartoon, you need to reply to the original post and only reply to people's posts when you are actually leaving comments. The last part of this week's assignment is the exit slip. And now, what did you learn about the digital story and the benefits of students producing their own digital stories? To respond to this exit slip activity, you can go to Edmodo, and you will find that on the side of your Edmodo screen there's a little upcoming exit slip activity, and you can click on that and it will take you to the questions, and you can just supply your answers and submit, and I will review it on Edmodo. And that brings us to the end of this discussion.